guys. Welcome to the show. I am Shane Davis, and this is Yanzi Lynn, and this is Talking and Drawing. We do make comics and talk about comics. I got 20 some odd years in the American comic book industry, and I would love to share this knowledge with you as we go through the changing landscape of the American comic book industry and what is happening now. And I've done a couple of videos about this and talked about it. Is everybody could be superhero fatigue, but everybody's getting in on cartoon 90s, 80s properties. Transformers is a big hit, went to Skybound. We've been talking about that whole license transaction happening. IDW losing G.I. Joe, Transformers. They held on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, that's interesting because they did have success with Last Ronin, probably one of the last big comic book hits actually in the direct market. And now they're setting their sights on a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot, and we're going. Jason Aaron left Marvel, exclusive contract. I guess he's just doing whatever he wants, and one of the things he's going to do is write Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, this is going to be a short arm, and it's getting very, very, very competitive right now with these properties. Dynamite has Thundercats, Gargoyles, even now Teenage Ninja Turtles. IDW's ramping up. Skybound has Transformers and G.I. Joe, and merging those two IPs together in a continuity with one another. This is getting interesting. Let's get into it.
So, IDW is going to do a reboot of their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. Even though they're calling it a reboot and they're doing a number one, they are stressing that it's still within continuity. So I guess they don't want to burn whatever fans they have right now. Because apparently fans pretty much like the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic book series. So, Jason Aaron will be writing, and they have a very interesting list of creators here. Raphael Albuquerque, Joe Lee Jones, Cliff Chang, and Chris Burnham. They will each illustrate one of the four issues of the relaunch series. And what is happening is that they'll each draw their favorite turtle. For example, Joe Lee Jones will be drawing Raphael, and so on and so forth. And they will have Raphael Albuquerque continuing on the second arc of the story. Now, most of these talents have really made their chops working on mainstream books, especially in DC Comics, so they are not cheap talent to be using for this. Now, as Shane mentioned, IDW 2 years ago lost two of their big IPs from Hasbro, which was G.I. Joe and Transformers. We all know the big fiasco with the G.I. Joe. It wasn't very heroic straight white male thing, which is what the G.I. Joe was mainly about. Instead, they decided to replace it with a woman of color, I guess. Not even a standard military body type kind even. And the Transformer, the less is said about it, the better. But yeah, pronouns games, hello. So anyway, what does this mean though? So eventually, IDW did so poorly, they actually got delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. Now think about it. Their stock couldn't even hold $1 in value for more than 30 days. They got delisted. I believe that to leave their office as well. But then they argue, of course, it's post-pandemic. Everyone's work from home now. What ends up in this situation is that, yeah, we got this one last big IP we're holding on to successfully, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And by golly, we better hold on to it. Why? Well, recently, Dynamite made news with Thundercats #1 approaching the biggest launch in a decade because they pre-sold 170,000 units for the issue #1. Now think about it. That's like almost double of what Batman supposedly sells every single month. I want to make this connection though. So, Thundercats obviously is an 80s property. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, also an 80s property. I kind of want to pull this parallel and say, maybe, the creators are looking at what Dynamite did with this 80s property over here, and they may be thinking, what if we actually let them have our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle property instead, and maybe they can revive it, get fan interest in with their whole back to basics concept. And maybe word got back to IDW and they're like, oh, yikes. We better get back to basics as well with our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. See if we can get other fans to come back. And I don't think they'll be sell anywhere close to 6 figures in units. But hey, you never know.
As far as like just looking at it as comic, and I know this is tricky because these are retro properties, right? But some of these retro properties now, the children that enjoyed these properties are now adults or doctors, lawyers, or they have expendable income and they can buy expensive $300 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys, NECA toys, Super 7 toys, $55 a pop of Thundercats. So what I'm seeing here, and nobody's really talking about this too much, is this is the audience that mainstream comics, as far as superhero books, Marvel and DC, are actually kind of shunning. They're actually saying and taking for granted, thinking they'll go along for the ride on diversity outreaches, left and right representation, and all that. There's a couple of things happening at once, and it's a little tricky. But I feel like superhero fatigue is a real thing, but it's not just that. I think it's the brand is burnt. DC Comics, I think right now, after their big diversity push that they did year after year, Pride Month turned into Pride Year. You know, you have bisexual Superman, you have bisexual Robin, all of these things hinted at that maybe Batman was even slightly bisexual, maybe, or would to solve a crime. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But the problem is the brand is so manipulated right now and burnt, and customers, they feel safe with these properties, and some people are realizing there's money to be made here, but is there? And the reason I bring that up is I'm seeing the most effort right now in licensed comics of these properties, and why that's confusing to me is like when I was working in comics and IDW would ask me to do a cover for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they had very low budgets for covers. Why? Because they have to pay a licensing fee. There's more hands in the pot with all of these properties because Nickelodeon's going to get paid for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Hasbro's going to get paid for GI Joe and Transformers, Thundercats, Warner Brothers is going to get paid even though they're not making that comic. That's what's interesting about this big push, because all of these publishers, whether it's Skybound, IDW, or Dynamite, they're putting in a real solid effort on these books, but in the end, they don't own any of the content. The content goes to the person who owns the license. They can maybe make some comic book money. So this is a weird dynamic where I'm seeing major publishers putting in a almost too much of an effort for these books that they're paying the privilege of even making. But the reason this is working, I'm a big fan of a lot of these properties, but I have no interest in buying Marvel or DC books right now. So yeah, I still want to buy comics, and I would buy this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic, and it does catch my interest and some of the talent on it. I like, this artist here. I like Jason Aaron. So yeah, as a comic reader, I'm going to gravitate towards it. I don't know where the comic industry goes off of this or from this, because Marvel and DC, what do you do with this? I mean, there's real data here that has to be smacking them in the face. That they've turned, the comic industry isn't exactly dying. You just shunned a certain demographic that was your core audience.
Well, who knows? Maybe they realize that actually the money is in the pockets of all these 40-year-old cis-white males that they like to lambast so much. And maybe they'll try and pivot back, try and grab those dollars again, but who knows? Once bitten, twice shy.
Right. If you guys will, please check out Inglorious Rex 2. This is our second chance campaign. The original book, we raised over $260,000. We ran it short time compared to Inglorious Rex 1. You can pick up Inglorious Rex 1 here in this tier right here. This will get you every book of Inglorious Rex right here. These are 2 books with one connecting cover. If you guys will, please go check it out. This is my awesome beat 'em up monster action adventure comic. I'll leave you guys with a trailer for it, and the link is down in the description, and we will catch you guys again with another video.
Stepped on the scene, I got greatness all in my jeans. Ain't no way that I can slow down. I'm laced up, look how I shake the ground. Can't touch the crown, but you can kiss the ring. Close your eyes and see how I live a dream. I'm too smooth, MJ with the lean. Don't be fooled, I came through with the team. This is over their heads, how high can it go? I'm too over the edge, got my eyes on the goal. And we right back at it, keep them right on their toes. Look at the way that I move, this is all that I know. Cause I got the drive, I put it in gear. Line them up, I don't see no competitors here. If it ain't first place, we really can't settle for it. Listen up, get ready for it.